I'm tired of Lagos, man. Part 2. I have a list of preferences. First, he mustn't have a poverty mentality like one of my exes, Nonso, who insisted I always cook even when I was exhausted because it was cheaper. It was a problem because he was one of those I want fresh soup every day men. He called himself a foodie, but he was really a glutton. He fired my chef and my gardener as part of a series of silly wife material tests. Me too, a moo at that time. I was mute and didn't tell him I was skeptical about marriage. As the only child of deceased parents, there was no one to pressure me into marrying, and I preferred to keep it that way. My relationship with Nonso had me cooking, doing his laundry by hand, and cleaning on weekends. All tasks I'd rather outsource. Then, he made me take Uber or public transportation when we went out because he didn't have a car and, weirdly, he refused to enter mine. He didn't even want me to Uber to his house because he didn't want people assuming that men were dropping me off at his. So, I'd either take a painted taxi or stop the Uber several houses away from his and walk down. I regained my senses and broke up with him the day he suggested we fly in Okada over 3rd Mainland Bridge due to traffic. Maybe it was also because we were on our way to see his mother, and I'd realized I couldn't take that huge step with such a miserly man. Which brings me to my second preference. He should have his own money. I'm no longer lending money to any man or funding a man's lifestyle in this Lagos. As my late grandmother, my Aya Agba would say, I'm better off using that money to play Kalo Kalo. I would also prefer my Oyabo to be ugly or at least plain looking. I want him to be grateful for dating me. I'm not really sure why I want this. Maybe it's my vanity or the trauma of the infidelities of fine Lagos men who think they're doing women favors by sleeping with them. All the handsome Lagos men I dated ended in tears. The latest one was Andrew, who introduced himself as Dre and looked like he was created by all the filter and model gods of Instagram. I'd stare at his chiseled body in wonder and at his piercing eyes and want to confess sins I hadn't committed. He was 25, for years younger, but he was so beautiful he made me break my rule of not dating someone I was older than. However, I quickly realized we were at different places mentally. All he wanted to do was smoke weed, take pictures for his social media, and go wild at clubs. Also, I couldn't keep up with his youthful energy. I preferred gentle lovemaking. Andrew fucked like we were bitter enemies fighting to the death, and maybe that was partly why I refused to call him Dre. The first time, he even refused to use the bed. We did it against the wall, against the bedroom door, and on the cold tiles of my bedroom floor. I got a rug 2 days later. One time, he lifted my legs and crossed the midair. I stopped him immediately. Andrew, only witches cross their legs like this. Free me. He'd send pictures of different sexual positions he wanted us to try. I kept thinking, no, we mustn't try everything in the catalog. I don't want to strain my joints to climax. And no, I can't twerk on your dick. How about weak knees? Sex should be Jeej, easy. Miss me with all that freaky and over-adventurous stuff. Even a core traditionalist like Nonso, who acted like the custodian of culture for his amana, wanted to role play as a little girl in bed. I told him it was an abomination in my place and kept it moving. So, my fourth preference is that my Oyabo should be conventional in bed. I started my search in Alupaju. According to Susan, the best places to look for white men in Lagos were Alupaju, Ikeja GRA, Lekki, and Ikoyi. My plan was to visit and spend some time in these neighborhoods on weekends. So one Friday night, I decided to do some of my grocery shopping at supermarkets in Alupaju. I whiled away a lot of time strolling through the aisles. Amazingly, that night, I only ran into hot white men. So, fine Oyabo plenty for Lagos? Why were these women only following the war once? I considered giving my number to one bearded and green-eyed hunk who was checking me out in a supermarket aisle. But I checked myself when I remember my preference for a plain or ugly man. I scheduled a cage at GRA for the next day. Susan had said we should go to a restaurant frequented by Oyabos. I called her that morning. She seemed surprised. "Sheik, You are serious about this search? Of course. What time are we doing dinner at this restaurant? 7 p.m. Okay. Are you coming with your husband? Let me know so that I'll prepare myself for his lectures about marriage. She chuckled. Don't worry. Bayo has traveled. It's just me, you, and the girls. The girls are my other friends, Tolani and Bucky. It turned out to be a Lebanese restaurant. However, I wasn't impressed by the crowd of mostly Lebanese men. The girls chuckled when I whispered, Lebanese no be oyabo. They all disagreed with me, and we argued the point in Yoruba. We forgot about it when the food came, and we focused on gorging on the delicious feast. Then, while waiting for the bill, a middle-aged Lebanese man with slicked back hair rose from a nearby table, walked to us, smiled, and said, Bawo and I, Oruko me and I Samid. We howled. In perfect Yoruba, Samid declared I was right that Lebanese people weren't oyabos, but admitted with a laugh that many didn't mind being seen as oyabos in Nigeria. He explained that in the 6 years he'd been in Nigeria, he'd grown fluent in Yoruba and Pidgin and was learning Igbo. He was bemused by my search for an oyabo and said he'd like to take me out sometime. I reminded him he was an oyabo. He laughed, offered me his card, and paid our bills. We never spoke a word of English. In the car, amidst the cackling, Susan and the girls wondered why I hadn't given him a chance. I was amazed. What? Did you hear his Yoruba? He speaks better than me, SEF. How will I keep a secret from him? CN, that man will be worse than any Lagos man. And that was how I added a new preference to my list. My oyabo should be Western. No Lebanese or Indian or Chinese or anyone more Nigerian than me. I'm tired of searching for available oyabo men in Lagos. It's been over a month. I've been to every major part of Lagos, but I haven't had any luck with finding my spec. Sometimes, I have this silly thought that this is the universe giving me my comeuppance for all the oyabo boys I refused to give the time of day during my uni years in the UK. Jew, Ima Binu. I'd focused on Lekki in the second week. Tolani had suggested that I stay at her place in Lekki for some days and join her on her daily jog on the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge. Initially, I balked at the idea because I'm too chill for the walla of exercise. Do I really have to run? Can't I just sprinkle water on my face and cleavage and act like I just ran? I asked. However, the girls mocked me for being unserious till I bought matching sportswear and joined Tolani one cold harmattan morning. My luck was horrible. I gassed out after 5 minutes, developed a cramp at the back of my thighs, and didn't see a single oyabo. Worse still, as I trudged the bridge in self-pitying misery, I heard someone call my name from a passing car. It rolled to a stop ahead, parked, and Jimmy, one of my exes, swaggered out with a smug smile. I wasn't in the mood for his games, so I told him straight up, well done, I'll G me. I've noticed you're driving a Bentley. That's why you stopped, ABI. Oya, come be going. The foolish man sneered with his fake posh British accent. I see you're still pretending to be Raz. So, I laughed. I see you're still borrowing people's cars and pretending to be rich. Meanwhile, Shebi, you've forgotten you still owe me money? Onig bees, when am I getting my money? Embarrassed, he turned, pretended not to hear me as he brisk walked to the car and zoomed off in a huff. That was the end of my exercise and search for oyabos in Lekki.